Charleston museum goers are the first to see a new exhibit before it hits the road for a tour across the nation. It's called Fighters for Freedom, William H. Johnson Picturing Justice. Here to share more is Angela Mack, Executive Director for the Gibbes Museum of Art. Great to have you back.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Angela, who is William H. Johnson?
Well, William H. Johnson is an incredible artist. He was actually born in Florence, South Carolina in 1901. African American who was showed tremendous talent as a young man, and early on in his life had the opportunity to travel north as part of the Great Migration to study art in New York. And in fact, he had a chance to work and be accepted at the National Academy of Design, wow, where he won just about every prize that the institution offered in the several years that he was there studying. He then went abroad for several years to continue his studies and was just an exceptional artist.
Take us inside some of his work. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but take us inside some of his work. What medium did he work in, and what was the subject matter of his artwork?
The subject matter really had a wide range. So obviously some of his early pieces were landscapes, figure pieces, but he accepted the modernist concept towards creating art, much like many other artists in the first part of the 20th century, when, you know, concepts of abstractionism and expressionism were really entering the way in which artists conceived of their compositions and created the objects. So he was very good at creating and adapting to these various isms, so to speak, yeah, and presented some very powerful pieces that were quite well known abroad. And then also when he returned to the United States in the 1930s, he continued this approach to his art, incorporating oil paintings, tempera paintings, collages, watercolors, and graphic pieces as well. Mm-hmm. So he had a full range of working in two-dimensional format for his works of art.
And tell us why the Smithsonian is such a big part of this tour. The Smithsonian, as many of us know what it's all about, but it's pretty remarkable that actually Charleston is going to be the first place in which many of these works is going to be seen before it heads out onto the road.
Correct. So in 1967, the Smithsonian American Art Museum acquired the collection of William H. Johnson. It was about 1,000 wow, pieces that had been acquired by the Harmon Foundation in New York. And then the Harmon Foundation gave those pieces to the Smithsonian when the foundation eventually disbanded. The Smithsonian has held these pieces for many years. They have done a lot of research on the collection. They've done a great deal of conservation on these pieces. And for the first time now, the Fighters for Freedom series has become available for this nationwide tour. We approached the Smithsonian several years ago about the possibility of showing William H. Johnson's work in his native state of South Carolina. And from that, this tour developed. So we're very excited to be the first venue. Mm-hmm. This was actually an exhibition that was supposed to premiere last year, but because of COVID, delays occurred, of course, in both the scholarship and organizing the traveling component. Sure. But as a result of the delay, we now have a 10 venue tour for the collection over the next couple of years, which is just fantastic.
That is. Can you just tell us briefly?
South Carolina artist is going to become nationwide known.
Absolutely. And can you just tell us briefly why the exhibit is called what it is called, Fighters for Freedom and Picturing Justice?
So Johnson did a whole series based on fighters for freedom. And this includes an array of people, people that are not commonly known to people who are extremely well known, like Mahatma Gandhi and Marian Anderson and Nat Turner and Abraham Lincoln. So the conversation is about these individuals and how they have promoted the case for freedom during the 20th century and beyond. The works of art actually tell their stories visually. So it's a compilation of images that are a history lesson in a sense, but in a beautiful and powerful way within the work of art itself.
Absolutely.
So it's truly, truly a must-see for children, for young adults. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we're not able to do field trips for our secondary schools, but I do hope that parents will take the opportunity to bring their children to see this exhibition.
And many opportunities to also get engaged with the exhibit itself, all the way from February through April. The exhibit itself, it's going to be around until August before it heads out?
Correct.
Okay, so make sure you get your tickets, head to the Gibbes Museum of Art. I want to thank you so much, Angela Mack, for joining us and sharing more on this fabulous artist's work.